All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. It's the Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today's episode, we're dipping into the Detroit Tiger system here. We're actually talking today with 2024 draft pick Zach Swanson. Now, if you're not too familiar with Zach, he actually was. I just learned this too right before the show, but he was the state of Washington's #1 prospect coming out of the into the draft, and he ended up signing with the Detroit Tigers. So, Zach. I like to start these things off on, I guess, an easy note, little layup for you. I know you might have had a pretty long year this year with the draft year and just getting into pro ball. But how have things been since the offseason kind of started for you?
Oh, good. Yeah, like you said, there was a lot of jumps from high school ball or high tournament level ball to pro ball. It's completely different. I always tell people, it's a job now. It's not a free time activity or do it when you want. It's a lifestyle. So, and I enjoy that part of it. As far as the off season goes, it's been good. Yeah, there's just kind of picking things back up now, and I'm excited to go into spring training with a full head of steam and be healthy. So it's going to be exciting.
So I obviously have to ask, with the draft happening this year, and just going through that process. Can you just take me through, I guess, just your day, where you were, where you were when you found out where you were going? I guess, can you just take me through a little bit of that?
Yeah, so I was potentially a day or late day one pick, early day two pick, and just I was at home and we actually did a YouTube video on it. One of my good buddies, Joey Roram, actually shot the video from us. I invited a few friends over, but it was mostly family and close people that have helped me on my baseball journey. But yeah, we did a YouTube video on it, and I got the call that I got my money's worth from Detroit, and it kind of told my dad and whatnot, and we got to watch it on the big TV and got my name called, and it was pretty special. So um, yeah, I was just in my home, and it was great. It was a great experience, but definitely very stressful.
Yeah,
How
you had mentioned just a little while ago because I watched that YouTube video earlier today. I thought it was really it was very well done. And you had just mentioned a little while ago how this is now turned into a job. And one of the big takeaways, it was towards the beginning of that episode that was filmed for you, and you were talking about how your friends now. You know what I mean, now you're a pro ball player and you don't get to play with your friends anymore. And I kind of that you saying it's a job brought me back to that. Has all that, and obviously you haven't played yet, right? But has it truly set in that you're a teenager, but you're also a professional ball player?
No, not really. It's tough because I've played with those guys since I was 10, 11 years old, and we've been on the circuit together, and just kind of parting ways is tough. I'll never take that for granted. Every day I got to be on the field with the guys and some of my best friends. It was special. So, but now it's just a different path, and I still get to play the game I love, and nothing changes from that. But now it's I'm living the dream, and they're just as happy for me. So.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up and ask, because you think about it, a lot's changing. You know what I mean? You guys would hang out, I'm sure, all the time, and now you're gonna be, your journey now starts. What is what has it been like for them? What's been the feedback from your buddies just kind of talking about hey, one of my best friends now is going to be playing professional ball. They're going to be playing for the Tigers, system. What has been the feedback that they've given to you on just, over the last couple of months?
Just obviously they were super happy for me when they found out that I was going to sign. And when you get drafted, you get about 3 weeks to, let things settle in, and then you fly out to the rookie complex, and you're there for 2.5 months, and you come back and whatnot. But I always told them don't ever look at me as different just because I'm a professional athlete now. I'm still your best friend. I'm still like the same idiot you've been hanging out with for 10 years. So, yeah, I know nothing's changed with them. And, I'm super grateful for my friends because, they pushed me to be a better baseball player, but just a better person in life. So that's something I'm really grateful for.
Is that I guess take me back to obviously the Detroit ended up being the team that drafted you, but what was it like pre-draft with the Tigers? Did you have a strong feeling that they would end up being the one that pulled through?
So I mean, you kind of have like 4 to 5 teams that you're going to go to one of them. The Tigers were obviously in that pod. So like when I got the call from them, I guess it wasn't surprising. But like, obviously I'm super grateful for them and, what they allow me to do. But, you just have that basic idea of those 4 teams. So, you're not going to have one team out of the blue pop up and be like, hey, we want you. So, yeah, I guess it wasn't the most surprising thing.
Yeah, because I remember like watching that. You kind of like you're on your phone. You're like, oh, it's the Tigers, and then you're sitting down. You get your family around you, and then you see the TV, and then the TV, they make the announcement. What if now that you're within the Tigers org, like what's some of the stuff they've talked to you about in the last couple of months as you're preparing for this off season and get ready for next year?
Yeah, the main thing they tell you before you leave the complex to go out, to do your off season is just to make sure you bust your ass in the weight room, take care of your throwing, and then make sure you're eating right because keeping your body in shape and staying healthy is throughout this course of pro ball is the most important thing because you can't put up stats when you're on the bench. So.
All right, I have a couple Pacific Northwest questions for you here.
All right.
Because I know you're representing. Well, the first one, I just wanted to ask this one. I had it already planned earlier to ask, but you committed to college at Oregon State, and obviously you ended up foregoing that to go pro. How hard was that to not go to Oregon State?
It's tough, man. That's a great program, and it's super well coached. I got nothing but good things to say about that program. It was tough, but it was just kind of unfortunate what happened to the Pack, and I think that was like a big deciding thing for me. Yeah, just seeing that whole thing blow over, it was tough, for me, and I know it was especially tough for the coaches and those people involved. So I think that was the main thing, and it wasn't a knock on the program, it was 50-50 if I was still going to go to Oregon State. And if I was going to end up there, there's nothing bad to say about that. So.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I miss the Pac-12. I miss it, especially football season. It's the Pac-12s were always the late games. You always got to watch USC and all in Washington, Oregon State, or all of them out there. And it still hasn't really, I guess, drove home yet seeing USC and UCLA and all these teams play Big Ten games, like in the middle of the country against like Wisconsin. Like, I don't know. I miss the Pac-12, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. I'm gonna show a little bit of love here to the Pacific Northwest, and there's been some good pitching prospects to come out of the Pacific Northwest lately. You had guys like Noble Meyer, you had a guy like Mick Abel, you had J.R. Ritchie, and then you had Jackson Cox, who actually went to your high school. Now that I'm seeing it, so you've had a lot of good pitching come out of Pacific Northwest. I feel like you don't really hear about it too much across the country. I feel like you always hear Texas, you got Georgia. You got, I don't know, a lot of the South. You got California, but you don't hear a lot about Pacific Northwest. Can you kind of talk about just some of the competition you had playing in high school, and obviously like some of those names that I just read off are in professional ball now. So how was it, I guess, getting to stack up against some of the competition around?
Yeah, no, we're definitely underrated in terms of pitching prospects in the Northwest. I always tell people, that those SoCal kids or the Georgia kids are super blessed because, they don't have to ever play in hail, sleet, rain, and for us in the spring, that's an average day. So anytime I would go on the summer circuit and get to throw it, 85 degrees at night, and that was just a blessing. So every time I played for the Canes New York Mets scout team, and just meeting and talking to some of those guys, you're from Washington, and every time I say I'm from Washington, they go DC, and no, Washington State, upper left, USA, small, and I just would tell everyone, hey, I'm right on the border or right at the bottom of Mount St. Helens, so. I don't know if you guys learned about that in history class or whatnot, but that's the best way I can explain it. Yeah, no, we're definitely just an underrated state for baseball. I don't think we get the love we deserve. We play in a lot of brutal conditions. Like I said, fields flood often, play in a bunch of rain, cold weather. So then, some of those more advanced players, when we get to go play on the summer circuit, when it's sunny and sunshine, we take advantage of it. And I think, that's what makes us stand out. So.
I want to ask too about Jackson. I'm not sure how close you guys were. I know he was 2 years older, and he got drafted 2 years ago. But seeing him being drafted in the second round and going through that process 2 years before you did, what was that like for you seeing him do that? Obviously, you guys went to the same high school, and were you guys close at all?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were close. I think the biggest thing was, it was a learning experience more than anything. So it was great to watch someone, go through the process and have him talk to you about it. And it was so much easier for me, just kind of him talking to me a little bit about it and what to expect. So, it made the process so much easier on me. And, it was just, I was stressful for him my sophomore year when he was a senior because, he had 30 scouts in the back. And before every pitch, they just line up and point their radar guns up. And, it was cool to watch, but, I think I was more stressed out than he was when he was on the mound. So it was cool.
Probably prepped you a little bit for when you became the senior and you're like, okay, they're here for me. I've seen this before. I've kind of lived this before through him.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna shift gears here to talk about you here a little bit. So I want to know, and it's a question that we kind of like asking guys as well, especially pitchers that come on the show. We like to ask a question of like, what kind of pitcher are you? And when I asked that question, I kind of saw like a little bit of the arsenal that you throw, and I saw you had a little that your velo bumped up this past year. I saw you were sitting like around 80, 89, 90, 90-ish, and ended up getting a good velo bump over the last year. So what kind of pitcher are you, and what does your arsenal and pitch mix look like these days?
I'd say, I'm obviously a very competitive pitcher, but my arsenal is obviously my four-seam fastball, my slurve, and then I got a changeup, and then I got a sinker that I just added recently a year ago. And just kind of, I'll talk you through what I like to throw and whatnot. But four-seam fastball, it's obviously, takes most of, or, I throw it the most. And then my slider, slurve, whatever you want to call it, that's my go-to pitch. That's my outlier pitch. I feel comfortable throwing it in any count. Lefty, righty, down, away, in the dirt, elevate it. That's my bread and butter pitch. Changeup's developing, obviously. I have a fast arm, and I've been tinkering around with grips in terms of my changeup for a while, and nothing's really felt comfortable. So, that's kind of a work in progress. And then my sinker, I just added a year ago. I always love throwing the sinker at lefties' hips and, trying to get ugly swings or them to jump out of the way. Just kind of moving moving in that pitch around the zone. It's fun to watch. And, over this past year, there's been a lot of growth with that pitch. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
It's weird, Andrew, hearing like the pitch mix, because so we kind of joke about it now, but like in the sock system, every single guy basically throws a sweeper. It's like when we go over this like pitch mix, you get sweeper first. So it's a little refreshing to kind of hear that's it's just standard, that fastball, slider, change, sink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to piggyback that, Chris, because a lot of the guys that get drafted by Boston, it's just like an organizational thing right now that you learn the sweeper, you add that to your arsenal, and they like guys that throw a sweeper. So did Detroit come to you with any certain pitches or I guess anything, and we're like, hey, we think you might be successful throwing this pitch? Was there anything like that?
No, they usually, or at least from what I've watched and talked to some of my friends about, they don't. We haven't got anything tinkered with. Like they haven't really messed with anything. They're just kind of analyzing right now, and obviously, that'll change over the course of this coming year and the next. But you know, I don't. They haven't messed up or messed with anything, I should say. But I'm kind of curious to see what they do with my arsenal. We got so much brand new technology nowadays that they can sit behind a computer screen and tell you what's going to be effective. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre sometimes to hear about just all of the analytically accessible data they have, whether it's your a batter, pitcher, whatever it is in the system. Like they have everything these days, and it's just like it is fascinating too for me on some guys that come in to these systems and get drafted, and they've never seen some of the stuff that these big league clubs have access to. What is your familiarity with, I guess, data? Are you a data and analytics guy?
No, I always tell everyone, um, as a pitcher, if you throw 3 strikes and get swinging strikes, it's a strikeout. It doesn't matter if it was 89, 99, slider in the dirt. I always just go out and try to compete and worry about, numbers later in the off season. I feel like this is a time, you kind of dive in and look at that and, maybe mess with some stuff, but if it's effective, why change it? I'm kind of old school in that sense. It's hitting's hard. It's harder, one of the hardest things to do. So
Yeah, it's I don't know, the stuff that they have access to, man. It's crazy. It's some guys are throwing out. They're like, oh yeah, I was looking at my this and this, and then I'm like, I'm actually kind of lost right now. So I can't even imagine that a guy that sees it for the first time, that you're like, this is my pitch you're showing me. Like I had no idea. So it's always fascinating to hear about the analytically side of guys and to see if they're familiar with it or not. But Chris, I'm bringing back the lightning round towards the end of the episode that I kind of retired for a little bit, but I'm bringing it back here. So I have a couple more. I have 2 baseball related questions before I jump into it. I don't know if you have anything before I kind of dive into those.
No, maybe I'll piggyback off of something that you asked. And
Okay. All right. So this spring training that's coming up, you mentioned it earlier in the show that it's your first ever professional spring training. It's the chance that you'll be around all of the major league guys. And I know obviously you're not going to be sharing a locker room with those guys and everything, but you still see them around the complex and get to see them. But what are you looking forward to the most about your first big league spring training?
just going out and competing. I think this is a great opportunity to showcase, what I'm about as a pitcher, my competitiveness level. Yeah, man, I'm just excited to get back on the field. It's been a while, so it's always fun when you're up on the mound and it's just you out there. So that's just going out and competing, I guess.
That actually, I was thinking about this. When was the last game you pitched in that was like a competitive game?
So my last high school game was in late May.
Wow.
And the last game I pitched in was in the combine high school game. and I threw an inning, and that was the last live hitter I've seen, or game, I guess. So it's been a long, long time.
So how does a guy stay sharp during, I guess, such a long break between seeing a guy step in the box competitively across from you?
I think just the ramp or the build up process. You got to make sure you're not overdoing it in the off season, but you're also maintaining a healthy balance. And for me, mine's been a little slower start, but I get to start ramping up soon, so I'm really excited. And eventually next month, I'll be seeing some live hitters, and hopefully throwing some sliders in the dirt. Getting some ugly swings. That's always fun to see. So I'm excited to get back in the loop and face some live hitters because it's been long overdue.
Yeah, we're about 30 days away from 2025. Spring training is gonna be here before you know it too.
Crazy.
All right, so I'm gonna get a little off the field here, and it's a question I like to ask first and foremost to kind of get things started in that direction. If you have an off day or you're not on the baseball field, you don't have practice, you're just getting away from baseball, what do you like to do in your free time?
Fishing, man, easy. I just bought a drift
Ooh.
boat, so everyone asked me what my big first purchase was going to be, and you hear some guys say, "Oh, I'm going to get a car," blah blah blah. I bought a drift boat, so that's something I really love doing. There's something about just getting up at like 4:30, 5 in the morning, and putting the drift boat out on the river. It's quiet, clears my mind, and takes me away from baseball. Every once in a while, and every guy needs that. So, that was definitely my best purchase up to date.
How did you get into fishing? Like, where did that your love come from?
My dad, at an early age, we share a lot of. We love doing the same activities together. We're big into sports. He actually was my basketball coach in high school, and he coached 32 years in high school. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so we enjoy the same things, and at an early age, he would always take me out to the river, and he would hook it and let me reel it in, damn near drag me in the water. And it just kind of stuck, man. I got a lot of buddies that love going out too, so it's easy and it's nice getting out with some of your friends.
So what's the fishing scene like in the state of Washington State? Because I've never been to the Pacific Northwest, and that's something I'm curious about. Do you guys have a lot of lakes out there? Do you like, I guess, what is it like?
So yeah, we got a little bit of everything. We got a lot of diversity up here. You can go fish trout. Um, for me, I love fishing salmon. That's really the only thing I like fishing for. Coho, steelhead, you name it. I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of those, but up here we got everything: trout, bluegill, bass, coho, like chinook, steelhead. You can go out for tuna, lingcod, any ocean fish. Like we literally have it all, and that's the great thing about up here is you drive 2 hours one way, you can go fish for something. You drive the other way, you can fish for another thing. It's awesome. So
Have you ever been to New England before?
I haven't, but I have had a friend come through there, so he's been telling me how good it is
I think
for
you need to
fishing.
fish up there. Yeah. I've heard it's pretty good because obviously I know ocean fishing is a lot. I grew up in the Midwest, so I know I didn't have an ocean by me, so everybody went obviously at the lakes and Lake of the Ozarks and all that stuff. So, but I know ocean
Gotcha.
fishing's a different beast. But I didn't
Yeah,
know if you were I guess if you were ever interested in exploring out there. It's a good spot probably.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I've heard good things.
Okay. So now that I got when I ask this question, do you know I get two answers, mostly from pitchers too. I get golf and video games, and it's so refreshing to have a guy that didn't give me one of those answers.
Yeah. No, I still enjoy both of those too, but um, when the river's prime, there's not a place I'd rather be. So,
Hey,
golf
nothing's
and
wrong with golf.
yeah, you can golf your whole life. But you never know when, you get time to go out and fish. So you can golf and play video games the rest of your life. Not worried about that.
All right. I I just asked you if you'd ever been to New England before, but obviously the Tigers complex where you went after you got drafted down in Florida. Had you been to Florida before?
I have. I played on travel ball circuit there, and I've been to Fort Myers before, and then I was also when I was super young, I went to Orlando for Disney or whatever. So I've been there just briefly, not for too long.
So what is the biggest what's like the biggest obstacle or challenge of you being acquainted and being up in the Pacific Northwest your whole life and then living down on the East Coast down in Florida? Like, what's the biggest difference between the two that you've noticed so far?
For sure, the humidity. I mean, it is brutal
fair.
down there. Like right now outside, I think it's 35 degrees, and that's normal, but when you go down there and you wake up and it's 75 and you're in a bead of sweat just walking to the complex, like it's pretty ridiculous. So, but I've gotten used to it, and now when I come home, I don't take that Florida weather for granted anymore. So that's been the biggest struggle though, is the heat and maintaining like hydrate. I gotta hydrate way more. So
Yeah, the humidity is no joke, man. I'm guessing it's not humid up in the Northwest.
no, never. This is literally the state to live in when it's summertime. I mean, it's 80. There's no humidity. You can go do anything. You can go swim, fish, golf, like anything. It's just a beautiful state in the summer. The winter's a little different story. But yeah, no, this is in the summertime. The PNW is the best.
Okay. That leads me into another question here because I'm into the NFL, so I remember the Seahawks obviously were pretty good for quite a few years, and it just reminded me of I remember watching a bunch of Seahawks games when it'd start to get towards December, and it'd be a little chilly up there, maybe in a little bit of snow. But can you take me through your sports fandom? I guess as a kid, were you into the Mariners, into the Seahawks? I guess who were your teams growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I was never big into football, like I am today. I always was a Mariners fan, going to the games when I was younger and kind of idolized Felix Hernandez. Anytime he got to pitch, it was special. And we went to a ton of games when I was younger. And then just kind of, we don't have a NBA team in Washington anymore since the Supersonics. So I've been a Blazers fan too. So yeah, just those were my two teams. Never really watched the Seahawks, but unless they were in the Super Bowl, then I was a Seahawks fan, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're a fair weather guy, which you know what? It's fair. It's fair because Chris, New England, there's a lot of fair weather fans up there because the Patriots are bad now, and there's not really anybody's liking the team anymore. But so I'm gonna let that one slide. But I just had to check too. You brought up the Supersonics leaving. I didn't even. I was about to ask a question that if you even remember it, because I saw you were born in 05, but I don't remember when the Sonics left Seattle. But
It's been a while. They need to bring him back.
I saw a little rumor that they were going to bring back and have the Ray Allen like retro jersey be their first jersey. That would actually be kind of sick. But
that would be for sure.
Okay, so you weren't obviously you King Felix guy. That's actually a good question because this next year. Ichiro is coming up on the Hall of Fame ballot for 2025. And so watching King Felix and him pitch, did that, I guess, mold your love for pitching? Like, how was he, I guess, as a good guide for you as like a pitcher growing up in Seattle?
Yeah, for sure. Like watching him grown up through the years, I would always sneak down in the bullpen, get glances of him. And I actually have a bunch of, they warm up in the bullpen and they always toss a ball to someone. And I have about 5 of his. So, yeah, I idolized him for sure. And then when he threw the perfect game, it was just kind of the cherry on top. And, the Mariners weren't great at the time. So that was something special. But yeah, and just watching him dominate in Seattle and kind of it was just awesome, man. Like I was a basketball kid growing up, so getting outside the gym and when I was 14, started throwing a little harder, and realized that this might be my path instead of basketball. That was kind of the turning point in my success in baseball. So,
How much do you miss basketball?
oh man, um, too much, especially because my dad was the coach, and we both missed it a ton. We come from a small school, and our league's super competitive. It's one of those things where from third grade on, just when you start playing in those tournaments, all the way up to high school, you see those guys throughout, and it's always super competitive. The small town people show up, and it makes a great atmosphere. And I think that's what I miss the most is just being on the court with my friends and having my dad coach.
Okay. All right. I'm Chris. I'm gonna go speed round here. I think we can accomplish this in 2 minutes here. If you're on board, Zach, just you don't got to think.
Never hit a timeline, so we'll see.
All right, bet. Okay. What's the go-to pregame snack?
Ooh, Chipotle.
Oh, yes. All right, leads me into my next one. Give me your Mount Rushmore of chains for restaurants.
Restaurants or fast food?
Stand up or sit down.
Oh my gosh. Man.
Or we can separate it. We can do just.
Let's do fast food first. I got this one nailed. Chipotle,
right.
Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, and McDonald's.
Boom. Oh, easy. All right, then just give me what's your favorite restaurant sit down chain?
Oh my god.
This is an easy one.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh yeah, okay. That's good. I like that one.
Damn. Yeah, we don't have a lot of I guess we have a place out here. It's called Michael Jordan Steakhouse, and there's 1 in 4. So good. But yeah, I'll
the
go
Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious. I didn't know his ties to Washington, but
yeah, it's crazy. But I'll go Olive Garden, and then what else? Gosh, making me think.
I'm looking for Texas Roadhouse.
We don't have one down here.
Oh man,
we don't have one. So every time we go down and eat, somewhere, and we have a sit down, that's where we go. But we don't have one up here, so I can't put it in my list. I wish I could, but I can't. And I'll go Applebee's because Applebee's has bad food. It feels like.
Okay, I'm stealing one out of Chris's book. He asked a different version of this question, which you can always follow it up. But if you had a walkout song to you walking out on the mound, what would it be?
Oof. Oh man. Let me look. Can I look real quick? I have this set up. I used to have
because there's another segment that's going to follow this up. Chris asked a we may have lost him. Chris asked a question. I'm just going to keep talking because we're going to keep going, but he's looking this up. But you should ask him when he returns on the most embarrassing song in his playlist while he's doing this. I felt super old, by the way, whenever I was kind of looking his date of birth, and it was
5.
It was 2005. And whenever he had said Felix Hernandez, I was kind of like, okay, Felix Hernandez is kind of at that age where you're all right. What do you got for me?
I got Fancy by Drake, an old album. Good song. So that's probably the one I'd use the rest of my life because I'm a big Drake fan. So
okay. All right. We might let you slide on the most embarrassing song in your playlist. You know it offhand. We won't make you search for it.
Oh.
Everybody's got one. You can pass on it if you don't.
Probably, a Katy Perry song. I think she's great, personally.
I agree.
Just mixing it up in the playlist a little bit, and it's not a great feeling when you're shuffling around your playlist in the car and that pops on, and your friends give you a weird look.
You play with pride. You just go with it.
So
I just start singing it.
Sure. That's what you got to do.
No, I'm with you, man. We are I will say our not strangest answer, but our most diverse answer so far has been an Addison Rae song. So I mean, you could always be there. So I didn't know she had.
I didn't even know she made music.
Boom. There we go. All right. So you're only 19 years of age. So answer this question carefully. I need your top 3 liquids. All right. We're going to ask this question this way. I asked the question on you have 3 fingers and you can only have 3 liquids for the rest of your life in those fingers and you can't have anything else. But I also ask a sauce version where you can have 3 sauces. So which one would you prefer?
Liquid for sure.
Okay. All right. What do you got for me?
Gatorade, water, Sprite.
Oh, knocked out the 3 great ones.
Yeah, no doubt. Those are easy.
All right. So in 2 years, maybe those will change a little bit because obviously I have to have Jameson on one of them just because I love it. But yeah, it's fantastic. But no, you can't go wrong. I also ginger ale. I don't know why. I think I got old and I just started loving ginger ale, but you can't go wrong with Sprite. All right, Chris, I got a couple more left. Do you have anything here empty in the tank?
No, well, you guys were talking about King Felix. I was looking him back up and he's on the ballot as well for the Hall of Fame this year. And he had just a dominant 6-7 year stretch where ERA would he was dominant. And I don't know if he'll go ballot on first ballot, but I mean, you can make a really strong argument for him. One of my favorite pitchers, not outside of the Boston market. He was so fun to watch. He's electric. And he got a 25 100 strikeout off of Michael Chavis. So,
okay.
Little Red Sox fact. Yeah, little Red Sox fun fact.
All right. Well, Zach, I'm going to I got one left for you here, and we'll let you slide. You've given us a ton of your time. Appreciate that. I like to end it on this question, too, because it's I think it's an okay one. I like to speak things into existence, so I just like to keep repeating things until it happens. So I'm not sure if you're like that or if you're a goals guy, whatever it is. But let's fast forward the clock to December 2nd of 2025. So your first year pro ball is officially finished. What are 1 or 2 different things that you would like to speak into existence for you to accomplish for next season?
Ooh. All right, I got one or not related to baseball, but growth as a person, and then hitting 100. That's every pitcher's dream, I feel like. So hopefully I get there. But yeah, those 2, growth as a person and bumping up the velo a little bit. So,
can I ask where you're sitting right now?
I've been up to 98, but I'm somewhere mid 90s. So it's a stretch, but it's happened before. But most importantly, I think I should put this first: is getting guys out. That's how you stay on the field. So just getting guys out, whatever that may be.
Oh yeah, no, that's honestly the best goal I've heard so far. Just getting guys out, man. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but I feel like that's a fantastic goal for next year. But Zach, we appreciate you hopping on, man, and it's been a pleasure kind of get to know you a little bit. Obviously, you're new to pro ball, and we are definitely wishing you a ton of luck in your first professional spring training coming up, and we hope you have a great rest of the offseason. But like I said, thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you for your time as well.
Thank you.